All right. Hello, everybody. This is your host for the evening on another edition of Aavegotchi Explores, where we take a look at some of the best infrastructure and tooling that exists in Web3 today to help empower you or your community to do more. And that could be in terms of usually we talk about DAOs, right? Decentralized organizations, managing NFT assets, working in a decentralized, coordinated way. And today we're kind of expanding that to a certain, you could argue, a certain type of DAO, which is guilds. And this, maybe my guest will tell me it's not just guilds, but my impression is that Narval is a powerhouse for making your guild get to its full potential. And so there's Greg there from Narval, and we'll be talking with Greg here in just a moment. Greg, how you doing, sir?
I'm very good. Nice to be with you, Jesse.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get right into it with you and learn about Narval. But before we do, I wanted to give a quick shout out if you guys are just tuning in. Basically, it's a happy new year to everybody. I want to make sure that goes out to everybody. This is our first broadcast for 2023. And also, if you're listening live, we have so much alpha going on with Aavegotchi that you should be aware of. This is our very we've been doing a lot here in January already, and it's just the first week's finishing up. So one thing you should be aware of is an hour from now, for the first time ever, you'll be able to do bid to earn auctions for your Aavegotchi wearables. And so these are all the wearables that you've accumulated over the last 2 years, or maybe you've never had one and you want to get into the wearables NFT game. These are powerful 1155s that you can equip to your Aavegotchis to actually like change their dynamic metadata and make their rarity scores go up and climb the leaderboards and ultimately farm in rarity farming for ghost tokens. All of that is something that's existed in a P2P marketplace called the Bazaar at Aavegotchi.com, but we've never had the bid to earn auctions unlocked where anybody can launch their own bid to earn auction anytime they want. And bid to earns are so popular in our community. Not enough NFT communities are using them yet. We should probably do an Aavegotchi Explores GBM series at some point. Basically, what they do is their smart contracts enable you to have what's like an English auction, except instead of just being outbid and losing and going home, every time you lose, you are paid to lose. So you commit your capital in real time via the smart contract. You make your bid, and then maybe Greg comes along and he outbids me on that piece. Well, instead of me just being sad and losing, I actually get a portion of what he outbid me by, maybe a certain percentage. And that goes back. So I get my funds refunded to me, plus a bit of whoever outbid me has to pay a fee to me for the right to outbid me. And that just gamifies the whole price discovery experience and is wildly popular in the Aavegotchi ecosystem for literally over almost 2 years now. And finally, instead just Pixelcraft Studios using it for major NFT drops, we are now open sourcing that so that anyone who has any wearables, including super rare godlikes, can now do some really cool price discovery with those. And it's going to be wild because so many godlikes, those are like less than 5 exist of every godlike wearable. Some of them have never had price discovery because they're so rare that people just diamond handed them from day one. Maybe they won them through a raffle or through gameplay. And this will be the first time that they'll have the opportunity to run a wild auction and see what happens with them. So that's happening and beginning an hour from now, and it will be continuous throughout. You can list any of your wearables anytime from this day going forward. So that's our announcement for the day with Aavegotchi. Good morning, Gotchi Bulls. Good morning to everybody tuning in. And, without further ado, I welcome Greg here from Narval.xyz. If you're listening live and you got a chance, go ahead and just type that in your URL bar right now, Narval.xyz. There's no E in there. Isn't that right, Greg? I'm spelling it correctly.
Correct. 100% correct. Yeah.
Okay. And obviously that is referencing a certain type of mythical creature. Is that correct?
Yes. So Narval is the French, you might hear my French accent, is the French word for narwhal, which is between the whale and a unicorn. It's basically a sea unicorn. And so, we found that name, both funny and related to what we do, because we are really a solution for large holders of NFTs. And so you can also define them by the term whale. Yeah.
That's a very good tie-in. I didn't initially make that connection, but it's so obvious now. You're talking to the whales, but the
Exactly.
very special type, the narwhals. So maybe right there off the bat, I had said that this is a product that is very powerful for guilds. If you're running a guild, if you're starting a guild, but maybe it's not just guilds. Like, who would you say should be listening in right now and interested in what you guys are providing?
Yes, maybe let answer to this question by giving like our like two core convictions at Narval, which will explain a bit more what kind of organizations we are targeting. And
Yeah.
so the first core belief is really that we are moving from a world of crypto trading only towards Web3 usage, and we are convinced that NFTs are the kind of new core primitive on which tons of digital experiences are going to be built. One of them obviously is Web3 gaming, and as often gamers for us are the early adopters, and so you enter a Web3 game through NFTs. So that's really our first kind of conviction. The second one is that around those NFTs, some communities, organizations, are building around the ownership, but also the usage of those NFTs and digital assets. And so what we're really building is what we call a multiplayer wallet platform, which enables you as an organization, it can be a micro guild, it can be a macro guild, a DAO around, ownership of, token gated NFTs. It can be, digital asset managers as well. We enable you as an organization to decide who can do what with your assets, with your digital assets, with your preferred custody model. And so really the two key features on our product are first, this very advanced and granular Web3 access control engine, again, down to the smart contract function. So as the owner, you can decide this type of users can interact with those functions in that game, for example. And then second, it enables you to do that on top of any custody model that you prefer, MPC, self-custody, later on smart wallets, etc.
That's pretty good. So basically, we're talking about asset management and at any scale. If
Yeah,
you
asset
are
management and usage, really, because we need one of our core metric, how much our users, our customers, our clients are really using their assets through Narval. We want to enable them to use their assets because we believe that NFTs, especially on gaming, they're not supposed to sit, in a vault. They're really supposed to be used inside the game, and so we want to empower our users to do so with our platform. So yeah, asset management, asset usage. It's really a tech solution, and to enable to empower our users.
That's perfect. And well, let's get into it. I think these type of conversations benefit a lot from the visual aids. And while you're pulling up your screen, I'll just say that, we were excited to learn about you guys when you guys directly made an announcement at the end of the year 2022, and you just directly reached out to Aavegotchi and Gotchi Gang and said, hey, if you are running a guild, if you are managing a lot of Aavegotchi assets, we just onboarded Aavegotchi to our system, and you should be aware of it. And so, yeah, right here, multiplayer Web3 wallets for organizations. And I almost find for me that wallet is a little bit, it doesn't do, it's more than a wallet, right? It's an entire platform here that serves everything listed there: NFT funds, DAOs, guilds, and even
Correct.
developers.
Correct. And yeah, we think that the wallet stack is really being kind of decoupled. And so we are not focused on the lower end of the stack around, key management, key generation, key storage. We're really above that around usage. But yeah, you're right. It's really more of a platform. And so, yeah, I'm going to log, into the app. And to answer your first point, that's correct. So we were, able to actually support your game without any, technical, integration with your team. We believe that, gaming studios should be really focused on, their core kind of value prop, which is building a good game, which is already very, very complex. And so we want to, help on stuff around usage and management of the assets. And so that's why our approach doesn't really require game integration. So yeah,
all those on-chain assets, right? You're able to just log in and integrate.
Absolutely. It will depend, on the type of game, but in most games, and so the ones we were live, on Polygon today, we were able to support them with our approach without any technical integration.
So before we dive in too much, do you want to highlight which games are already integrated, or a few of the big ones? We got Aavegotchi, and maybe
Yes.
there's a few others that.
Yes. So right now there's Aavegotchi and Crypto Unicorns, which is another game on Polygon. We are, gonna add a couple of more games initially on Polygon in the next couple of weeks, and then within a few months we'll be live on most EVM games. So that's the plan. We're discussing with a number of different games, around prioritization, but yeah, we will announce soon, the next game on the platform.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited that Aavegotchi can be one of the first to onboard and be a part of this. And I think you're about to show us why it makes sense. So I'll let you lead the way here with what we're looking at. This is, if I was a user, is this what I would see if I was logging in for the first time?
Yeah, so here I'm really displaying you the screen, around the guild module. And so I'm connected as a guild admin, right, or a guild manager. And so we're already working with a couple of large guilds and smaller ones as well. And so that's where you would log, as the NFT owner or as the guild admin. And so here on that first screen, your guild assets, the assets library, you can visualize your assets on different games. So you have a couple of filters around the status, the type, etc. And so yeah, that's where you can basically see the key kind of elements around your asset. You can also have a link access that on OpenSea if you want more details. And then you have a few tags, that tell you, is the NFT within my guild inventory? So here it's displaying your guild wallet address, or has it been delegated already to a certain user within the organization? And so first thing you'll do, as a guild admin, is create generate some user profile, which are very quick and simple. You just go there, you type a username and an email, and then create Scholar. And it's generating a row with a link that you can then send to your user base, anyone within your organization, who will then be able to create their own Narval account with a Discord login or with a username and password. And then they'll be able to access their Narval account, see which assets have been delegated to their account, and manage, the earnings flow of ERC20, etc., through our platform. But I will show you that, a bit later, what happens as a player. So now let's stay within the guild admin view.
Yeah, and if I could slow you just there, that seems really important. You're talking about onboarding anyone with an email to a Web3 platform to start playing the games. So in theory, I could send my cousin, who I've been telling about Aavegotchi for 2 years, that they should just check out the Gotchiverse. Go to verse.aavegotchi.com, try it out. And they're like, yeah, but I'm not going to get MetaMask. They're not going to download the wallets. I can send them an email invite, and they're able to basically access, and then I can delegate my assets to that scholar who is my cousin. They can get started today.
Exactly. They can basically access the game through the Narval wallet. And then they are not able to go on OpenSea and sell the asset. They're not able to transfer it or to burn it, because our granular access policy engine, will not whitelist those transactions. And ultimately, it will be actually the owner or the managers of the guild who will be able to decide which action, which function they want to enable through our app directly. And so
now I'm beginning to see why you emphasize on the landing page for Narval.xyz. You emphasize multiplayer NFT wallet, right? Because you don't need anything else. Everything's contained within the platform.
Yes, 100%. And you'll see it will be more clear once I show you how it works as a player, the kind of steps that you need to have as a player to just see your assets and then access the game through Narval. Cool. Let me show you just how a delegation works, and it's very simple. You're just gonna select, for example, this Aavegotchi NFT, and then you'll click here on assign, and then you can select anyone within your organization. So we can select, for example, this player, and then assign the assets to him. And so what's happening in the background, is that we basically automate the creation of a wallet. And if you pay attention to the wallet here, it was quick, but it changed. So it was initially in the guild Narval wallet, and it's now being delegated to that user. And so we automate basically the transfer of the asset to that player with gas fees as well. And so if I click there, you see that this player has been delegated this NFT, and he had before also assets on this other game. And so really you can manage that across your organization. And a couple of other stuff is that you can track transactions, you can track earnings. And so here this is just very quickly a different game, but on Aavegotchi you'll have FOMO, alpha, fun, and cake tokens. I just don't have them yet on that game. And then you can just see the different on-chain actions performed by your player base that we label over there. You can then click on any player and see how they perform individually. And also at the guild level, you can claim your rewards back to your Narval wallet. And after that, you can either withdraw them to your external treasury wallet, your Gnosis Safe or MetaMask wallet, and then you can also re-inject those tokens within the game economy if you want to reallocate those gains to another player, for example. You can do that, and we added that feature based on our initial users' feedback as well. So that's pretty much the current features we have. We're adding a couple of more games and features as well, but it's a constant process to iterate. But that's how it looks right now as the guild admin.
This is quite powerful. So, we have a lot of, I would call them natively grown or homegrown guilds in the Gotchiverse. These are, we have the participation of YGG, Blackpool, Meta Guild, some of the large guilds in the world that are active, but we also have guilds that are exclusive to Aavegotchi. So things like Gotchi Mafia. I could run off a list here. The Order of Portal Mages. There are so many, right?
Yeah.
They may, I think, benefit greatly from some infrastructure like this, right? Like it could even be that you're not a guild per se, but just an NFT whale, like a narwhal, right? You could be somebody that is very active in Aavegotchi or wants to grow and put your assets to work, and you could do it this way, right?
100%. What you said is 100% correct. And currently, we are in the early days, but the mix of organizations that are using our platform is really 50-50 between macro guilds that you have described, at the beginning of what you just said, and micro guilds, which are actually the equivalent of whales that sometimes, have large positions of NFTs and tokens on one particular game because they enjoy the game, because they want to be big into this game economy. And then they have around them, a couple of individual players who are able to, dedicate some time to play with them. And so those are, some of the most active users on our platform as well. And we went through, your guilds, on Aavegotchi, and I believe we really find the same, if not more, in terms of those, kind of smaller size guilds who really are true kind of, lovers of the game and enjoy to, form around the game and, speak about it in private Discord, stuff like that, and also to use their assets. And so, we were definitely, suited towards those communities as well.
And maybe some of them are very ambitious and want to scale things. I love how everything's comes back to the email, and that is, online marketing 101. If you are a savvy online marketer or somebody with online business savviness, you could theoretically, I see here, this like abstracts away all the Web3. You could literally like build an email list for your blog, for whatever, and say, by the way, if you're subscribed to my email list, my community, you're also going to get access to all my NFTs just by nature of plugging in Narvel on top of whatever you're already doing. So I feel like there's so many business models and different ways to approach and integrate Narvel into whatever you're already doing or your ambitions.
Yes, that's true. And we want to really enable people who might have, want to build on top of Narval some cool stuff to actually do that, increasingly. And so, the kind of even the API play will be important in our, product mix. Because as you say, once you enable people to delegate usage of your assets or your wallets, multiple stuff can be actually, possible. And we want to empower that.
And I should just say right here, if you're listening and you have some specific questions or comments, in a few minutes here, we'll open it up and take any questions at the end. So by all means, just hit us with anything specific. If you're in Aavegotchi and you have some very specific use cases, by all means. If you're active on a different Web3 game and you see a potential use case here, we'd love to hear from you as well. So this is what you see if you're kind of managing the guild. By chance, is it possible? Does it look different if you are kind of you're the scholar yourself, or how does?
Yes.
What does that look like?
Let me actually switch to exactly what you asked, Jesse, the player view. And so so right now we're not anymore into the Narval kind of guild account. We're really connected as a player, on Narval. And so if I refresh, I believe I should see the Aavegotchi that was sent to me that is now over there. And so this is really, your view as a player. It's very simple right now. You just have two tabs. One is, which assets have you been delegated? And second, your earnings that you can manage as well, claim to your personal wallet. And so, here, from here, it's very, very straightforward. You're just basically going to click there. And so we have, today we're integrated with Wallet Connect. And so as long as a game is supporting Wallet Connect, our player base can access the game through our integration. If you pay attention, we also have a small, Narvel over there, which is also a Chrome extension that we built, and that's behaves like MetaMask and also enables you to access the game through the extension. And so, as a player, what I'll do is really click here to launch the game, and then I'll open the Narval wallet, and then can launch Aavegotchi. And so I've already done that. And so if I click over there, you'll see that what happens is that once I click, I'm asked to connect to the game. First time I'll have to paste my QR code onto the wallet that is open on the right, and then you directly access the game. And so here you see the NFT delegated to me is appearing over there, and so I can basically play the game. Anything that the owner enables me to do, I'm able to do, but I'm not able to go on OpenSea and sell the NFT again. And so that's the kind of value proposition.
That's great. Yeah, they want to see how their earnings are going. If they're doing play to earn, they want to be able to see all the assets they have access to. And let's say you want to go more granular with Aavegotchi.
Yeah.
If you own an Aavegotchi, you can do a lot of different things with it, right? You may be able to do some farming. You may be able to have certain access to land rights and land usage with the Gotchiverse land parcels. And then even things outside of the Gotchiverse, just like, can you change its clothes? Can you equip different wearables? Are you able to affect any of those with Narvel?
Yes. I mean, as long as the things you described are tied to on-chain functions, you're going to be able, as as a user of Narval, depending on the type of user you are. Are you a kind of new player? Are you a kind of experienced player? And so you can imagine that, depending on the type of player you are, you might be kind of affected different types of permissions, or, access. And then if you're a manager, you might have different types of managers as well. Some of them, could basically use Narval and access, I don't know, Uniswap to swap some of the tokens. I can go on Compound or Aave, because in the end, it's really a wallet platform, which means that you'll be able to access pretty much any game, but also any D app, and interact with those contracts, as long as those functions have been whitelisted by the organization. And so that's really our vision, is that you'll be able to interact with other functions as well. To pet the Gotchi, for example, interact with other features that you just mentioned, Jesse. You'll be able to do that. Yes.
I see. And you could also restrict people from doing that. You say, look, they can pet the Aavegotchi, they can change the clothes, the wearables, but they can't access land parcels. You would be able to just turn on or off any permission at the contract level.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's really the core of what we're building to kind of decide who can actually do what with the assets of the organization.
That's great. That's pretty important. And I think that this has a ton of potential. I think one way to describe it is almost like maybe not. Do you ever hear the comment like it's kind of like the Steam of Web3 gaming, or because isn't there a bit of a play here where as you add more games, it becomes easier for discoverability? One player is playing this game is going to be like, oh, there's also this game, or you know what I mean? Like all these assets start to cross pollinate.
Yes, I mean we've been actually looking for a kind of reference to like more like Web 2, and so yeah, I mean there is a Steam element, as you say. We really want to be a kind of unified platform where you'll be able to manage your NFTs and tokens across any kind of collection, any game, and so you'll have a yeah as we grow there will be an element around discoverability, and the more users we have, yeah, the more the different games might be interested to access our user base. um, but yeah, I think Steam is maybe right now we're not talking about and being really a marketplace where you can buy and sell your NFTs. We might open up and go in that direction later, but today that's not the plan. It's really around usage. And so in kind of normal life, not Web3, any organization today has assets. You have real estate, as an organization. You have sometimes a fleet of cars that your people working inside the organization can use to access from place A to place B. And so we believe that NFTs will play a similar role in the new digital world. They're really this kind of access layer which enable you to access Web3 games, to access online events, offline events, metaverse. Some of a few people are building metaverse related universes around professional, based on NFT land, professional metaverse, for example. And so you can imagine that NFTs will give you access to a lot of different experiences, and we want to be the kind of tool to enable those organizations to make use of their assets. And so yeah, there's not like the perfect I haven't found yet the perfect reference or analogy to Web2, but yeah, it's probably a combination of a few different things.
Right. No, and that's good. That means we're in a new place. That's where we want to be.
Mm.
I often think about, when we launched Gotchi Lending a few months ago, as a kind of on-chain sharing economy, and we felt it's really important that we mimic some of the things we see in the real world, which is like when you own something, part of the value proposition of owning something is that you have the ability to share it with your friends. You have the ability to let somebody else use it for a little while, borrow it, rent it, or just straight up share it. And so that if you don't have that element alongside, oh, you own this NFT, but there's not much you can do in terms of letting other people associate with it, then you're really missing a big part of what actually happens in the real world. And so I think we're getting there, and you guys are doing a lot to unlock this and help guilds scale quickly and easily, or asset managers, whatever you want to call people who own NFTs. And so I guess we could go to, I see a couple questions coming in, and maybe we could field a few of them. So let's see what we've got here. Okay. Umami, a very active member of Aavegotchi Gotchi Gang. So I arrived a bit late. How is the integration with cold wallets and Gnosis safe? Can we keep our assets safely out of access and use app only as an operator?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, as I said initially, maybe Umami didn't hear. The model is that you really want to be the usage layer on top of any kind of key management solution. It can be MPC, it can be self-custody, later probably smart wallets as well. Today, we needed to prioritize. We're live on MPC, which means that when our users are using Narval, they are depositing through the leading MPC provider in the world, and so keys are generated and stored with MPC. In a couple of weeks, we'll be live on what we call self-custody, which means that micro guilds, and some of the guilds we've talked to actually asked us to support that. will be able to keep custody of their keys. So for example, through HSM, and then we'll be able to call our API, who becomes exactly like you say, Umami, an operator of those keys. And so you're going to be able to call our API, who then gonna inspect if the transactions that go through the game are safe or not, based on our permissions engine. And then if it's safe, they will be signed by the keys that you as a guild still own. And so that's kind of the second iteration we'll have. Regarding safe, that's something we've started to kind of investigate. Today, the problem is that most of the games don't support smart wallets. You need some special kind of EIP to interact with a game if you're a smart wallet. And so our vision is that gradually smart wallets will get adopted, and we'll support that, because again, even if you're a smart wallet, you'll need to have this kind of permissions built on top, who can call your wallet and kind of give access to those users based on the permission. And so that's how we see the kind of evolution. And so it's kind of a trend towards more decentralization. But today, as a starting point, we believe that our approach with MPC, first, it gives probably the best security profile for most of our users, because if you think about it, even as a small guild or large guild, no one should really be holding like the private keys, right? And so with MPC, you're basically kind of decentralizing those keys across different servers, and so there is not this risk of centralization. But gradually, we'll decentralize, first with self-custody, and then later on with smart wallets. And we believe that's kind of how it will look like over time.
In terms of the self-custody, I think you said weeks, right? It's coming quite soon.
Yes, that's one of the next key element we will have on our roadmap. It's already being tested, and so probably a couple of weeks.
Great. And great question, Umami. So there's going to be a number of options for people in terms of security. I think at the beginning of this, you mentioned like you want to be flexible in terms of, how would you say it? Like there's different options for different types of asset managers.
Exactly.
You want to be able to provide them.
Exactly. What we realized as we were, doing prospective calls is that, every organization has a different view on, how keys should be managed. Some of the people we talk to, they say, we're not info security specialists. We don't want to manage keys, and we're happy to go through the kind of Narval managed MPC. Others, they were saying, we want to keep, really the ownership of the keys through self-custody. And so, you're going to have different, and then within each category, you have kind of different providers, of different types of key management. Even in MPC, you have some kind of decentralized MPC solution that are starting to emerge. You have the established players, like Fireblocks and so on. And so we are having discussions with all those players, and the idea is to support basically any key management solution or model that our users want to have. They should be able to also use Narval on top of that, and really be able to manage, use their assets with native Web3 policy engine.
All right, that makes so much sense, and looking forward to all that shipping. And glad to know some of it is coming very, very soon. Basically, we're talking weeks, not months, as they like to say in crypto.
Yeah.
So, perfect. Do we have a few more questions here? Thank you for that one, Umami. We've got Alex S. here saying, how would this work with Gotchi Lending, our on-chain lending protocol? Can we set lending parameters within Gotchi Lending and still utilize Narvel? So how familiar are you with Gotchi Lending?
Yes, we are relatively familiar with it. And so we know that you are pretty advanced, in terms of how you build the game. And so you already natively kind of build those elements within the contracts, which is pretty cool. And so, ultimately, as I say, we view ourselves, in a bit of a different place in the kind of tech stack. We want to be the one, where our users can manage their assets. And so if, managing their assets means interacting with Gotchi Lending, because that's the kind of preferred way, ultimately that will be and should be supported with Narval. And so the answer is yes. Today, again, in terms of prioritization, we had to kind of decide where to start. And so today, the delegation is done at the wallet level, which enables us to kind of very quickly kind of whitelist on or blacklist, and put off some of those functions. And in that case, you go through our permissions engine, which is done kind of the wallet level and doesn't require to interact with Gotchi Lending. And so yeah, today that's not necessary, but if our users really want to go through that, we'll be able to support it. And anyway, once we turn on the generic wallet features, probably end of Q1 or early Q2, then you'll be able to decide with which contract you want to interact, which functions, and so Gotchi Lending will be one of them.
All right, so we'll tack it as coming soon if you want to go that granular, or I think this would be more interesting probably for a larger organization, right? They have a lot of scholars, and they want certain scholars to be able to even sub-lend, basically like they've lent to them and now they're going to lend on chain to others.
Correct.
And have sub guilds or something. You could theoretically do that. So
yeah.
Very, very interesting.
We actually already validated that's a sub delegation use case, and so we're already live on that scenario we just described, where a kind of large NFT owner doesn't have a player base, just want his assets to be managed, and in that case, it's delegated to first a kind of third-party guild or manager that then delegates through his own players. But you're right that with Gotchi Lending, that's built almost natively, and there is it could continue even lower,
the rabbit hole just keeps going.
Yeah, exactly. So, exactly.
Very, very cool. All right, so I think that answers that question. Those abilities are kind of already there, and even more so coming soon, right? You're able to unlock specific contracts to do specific things. So very, very nice. Do we have any more questions here? Let's see. Okay, Quincy with how would this affect XP drops? So again, and for anyone listening that's not super active in Gotchi Gang, when an Aavegotchi has a lot of dynamic metadata. There's the kinship that proves you're interacting with it on a frequent basis, and that goes up or down depending on how often you interact on chain. But another one is XP, your experience points, and we aligned that with more of a measurement of your interaction with the general community. So it's more of a social score. If you have this Aavegotchi in your wallet and you are attending XP events, what we dub as XP events in the Discord or in the Gotchiverse or wherever, then you can farm XP. XP will be airdropped to you. And basically we have to identify the wallet. If there's Aavegotchis in that wallet, then at that time of that snapshot, then those gotchis are going to farm that XP. Maybe they get 10 or 20 XP per event. And then you climb that leaderboard when rarity farming comes, which, quick plug, rarity farming season 5, which will be distributing again over $1.5 million worth of ghost tokens over 8 weeks, is about to begin. Look out for early February for it passed the DAO votes, and the funds are all allocated. So we're going to see between the wearables auctions I just mentioned, which are starting in 20 minutes, big shakeups on the wearables leaderboards, and also I think on the XP leaderboards. It's going to be pretty dynamic here for the next few weeks. It's going to get pretty wild. So off that tangent, back to XP, let's think about, okay, I am using Narvel. I am a manager. My gotchis are now allocated to a scholar of mine. How would that play out with the XP?
Yeah, and let me try to make sure I understood. So right now, is it going to be mostly related to Discord, for example, participation? And so users are identified with their wallets on the Discord. And so once you see that some of the users participate enough, or in the community, then you are able to unlock some XP to the wallet related to that player. Is it correct?
Pretty much, yeah. And it's really manual right now, quite simple. So we do a type form. If you're at the party, then we pin a type form to the top of the party, maybe 20 minutes into the party, 10 minutes in, whatever. Leave it up for the length of the party. And yeah, these are always advertised ahead of time as XP allocated events, part of the budget. And so, yeah, if you fill out the type form, you'll be asked for your wallet and maybe your Gotchi IDs if we want to get really specific. But we will do basically a manual drop.
Okay. Got it.
Of XP later.
Yeah, I mean, just from my current understanding, we don't really gonna prevent that simply because our users also have wallets, and so if they also attend those particular events, they can kind of link their own identity to their wallet, to their Narval wallet, and then kind of be able to claim or farm those XP after you drop. And so I don't see any reason why this couldn't work with ours.
I would just say, I think based off, like we saw the address change when you allocate. So I'm the manager and I have my favorite gotchi, and now I say my cousin who's a scholar is going to get that gotchi this week. I'm as of right now sending it to them, right? There's actually a transfer there.
Yes. Simply, what will slightly adjust, as we kind of iterate on our product and approach. And so, what will be, slightly different soon is that it's more going to be the wallet that you're going to delegate, and so the assets will be, for example, delegated from a kind of player wallet, from the guild wallet, and then it's more that the player will be able to be changed in terms of who can access that particular wallet. And so the asset itself for themselves could stay within that player wallet for a long enough period of time. And so, but otherwise, you're right. In what I showed, you reclaim the asset and then reallocate to a different player.
There's actual movement of the NFT from wallet to wallet.
Correct. But ultimately, it will be more that the NFT will stay within a wallet, and then you'll delegate this wallet entirely to a different player potentially, or simply it will stay delegated for a long period of time for that player.
Got it. That's very interesting. And you said that's more coming soon. That's a different way to manage the assets where
it's more on the UI that we're working on that, but that's already kind of how we build the product, and it will be also available relatively soon.
Great. And when we'd love to have you back for an AMA as things progress, and I think these kind of questions like XP are very specific to Aavegotchi, and we'd love to flesh them out.
Yeah, but we do love to get those kind of specific elements on the games we support. We already have a few guilds testing it on Aavegotchi, and so
any guilds in particular you want to shout out that are already active? That's exciting to hear.
Yeah, I mean, we're already starting to test with Blackpool, for example, and also with Meta Guild, and started to contact some different guilds since yesterday and the day before, and we'll continue to do so. So through Discord or Twitter, feel free to reach out to me directly, through our Twitter account or through our website as well. Right now, we're really not self-serve, and so self-serve will be available a bit later, but we really, white glove onboarding only. And so we are spending time to kind of onboard users, get feedback, in their Discords, and quickly kind of improve the product. And then we'll open it to self-serve a bit later this year.
Well, that's exciting to hear. Shout out to the guilds already hopping in and working with you guys. I guess since the December announcement, when you guys made that call, Blackpool and Meta Guild on it. That's why they're so successful. Very cool. I hope more Aavegotchi guilds reach out, check this product out, get involved. I think it could be a very powerful tool for just about anyone working with NFT assets, and especially gotchi assets. So did we miss anything? And I just saw across the bottom of the screen, Narvel, what is it? GMI, like going to make it, right?
Yes, GMI, exactly. That's the correct one.
All right, follow you on Twitter. And then the website, though, is the .xyz, right?
Yes, exactly. Narval.xyz.
All right, great. And just highly recommend everybody to reach out. I think this is the kind of value that we want to make our community and the wider Web3 community aware of. That's why we do Aavegotchi Explores, and really appreciate you coming and sharing with us. Is there anything else we missed, or do you think this is a perfect cap on it?
No, I mean, I think it was a great talk with you, Jesse. I mean, thanks a lot. Really appreciate us spending time together. And if there's any follow-up question, again, do reach out to me, and I'll be happy to answer and discuss.
Well, thank you so much, Greg. And I think you'll see a lot of Gotchi Gang heading over to Narval.xyz and interacting with this very powerful platform. So with that, we have, let's see, if you're live here, we are live. So we're 15 minutes away from another big ship heading to the Gotchiverse and Aavegotchi at large, and that is wearable bid to earn auctions. So I mentioned this at the front. I'll mention it again now. We are closing in. It's a P2P marketplace, entirely on chain as we do. So we do not know exactly who's going to be showing up and listing their wearables for auctions, but there will be 24-hour, 3-day, 1 week, different types of auctions. They're all GBM, bid to earn auctions, which, as I said, if you're basically paid to lose. If you bid and somebody outbids you, some of that committed collateral from the outbidder is going to go right back to your wallet. So it's a really fun, gamified way to compete for price discovery. And also, like I said, I'm most interested personally in the mythical and godlike wearables, some of which have had very little to no price discovery over the last 2 years. They're so rare. Godlikes, there's literally only 5 of these NFTs in existence. Things like godlike brain or godlike eyes. Some of these things are so rare that they've never been listed in the marketplace. And so who knows? There's rumors out there that some of them may be getting listed, and it could make for some very exciting auctions. So I invite everybody to head over to our Discord, where we'll be following the launch live, just hanging out in general chat and following along to see what happens there. And then with that, we'll see. Maybe some of these gotchis listing on Narvel will have new outfits after the next few days of auctions. Though, to be clear, this is an ongoing platform. It's a new feature that anyone, anytime from this day forward will be able to list their wearables for auctions. So looking forward to seeing what happens there. And I see, yeah, here's a shout out to where the GBM auctions are. Go ahead and go to auction.aavegotchi.com/auction. Bit of a mouthful, lots of A words. We love the A words. So, all right, with that, thank you so much, Greg. Shout out to Narvel, and I hope everybody goes over and experiments with that and see what they can do to empower your NFTs and put them to work.
Thanks a lot, Jesse, and all the best for the auction as well.
Awesome. We'll see you there. Thanks.
Ciao.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And definitely leave in the comments if you see any products, platforms, or other people pushing innovation in the Web3 space that you'd like Aavegotchi and myself to sit down and talk to, because that's really what this particular series is all about. We want to reach out and find infrastructure and tooling in the space that can support everybody in Aavegotchi and Gotchi Gang and anybody else who wants to join in. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. With that, we will wrap it up and head over for Aavegotchi auctions. See you there, friends.